Right. So, looking at all this, it was all about the features, all about the benefits. My opening conversation with people, I literally ask them, I go, hey, when you walk into a resort, what's one of the first things you do when you get to your room? And I can tell people tell me I drop my bags and walk over to the thermostat. And if it's warm, I make it cooler. If it's cold, I make it warmer. And I said, okay, why do you do that? I said, because I'm not paying for it.
Right.
Got it. So,
Right.
all right. So you keep your thermostat in the hotel room 72 degrees. What do you keep your thermostat at home in the summertime? Oh, 78. Well, why? It's because they're trying to keep the bills down. I said, okay, what if we could give you a way to live like you're at a resort, 72 degrees, and your bills actually went down? Your consumption could go up, but your bills went down. Would that be of any interest to you? And people go, yeah, of course.
Welcome to Sharpen the Spear podcast, where we help manufacturing executives command the front and win the floor. I'm Richard Walsh, creator of the Sharpened Impact methodology, and I've spent decades helping leaders transform frontline teams, unlock hidden profit, and capture capacity they didn't even know they had. If you want to see where your leadership gaps are costing you and how to fix them, head over to grittolead.com and run the free Sharpened Impact Simulator today. Let's sharpen your edge and get started. And we are back on STS Sharpen the Spear podcast with another incredible guest, good friend of mine, Michael Hamburger. And Michael, no one knows Michael as well as Michael. So, Michael, we need the backstory. Bring us up to speed so we can get into the conversation.
Right on, Richard. Well, great to be here. Michael Hamburger, here in the Space Coast of Florida. My background, I'm born and raised in Atlanta, Georgia. After high school, 7 days, 11 days after high school, I went and enlisted in United States Marine Corps, served 6 years in the Marine Corps, went to college, all this good stuff, and then became a business owner back in, 2002, I think, is when I left corporate America. Um, Working for a little company who's now known as Verizon. Back then, they were known as MCI. And yeah, it kind of leads me up to this point here today.
Yeah, there it is. That's it.
I
That's
mean,
that's
easy,
just it
easy.
did
I
nothing in
go
between there.
deeper.
Nothing in between there. He's done nothing. No, but well, let's do this. We will fast forward to today because you're working on some new stuff today. You're into some new things that I love. And let's break it. Let's break it open.
Right on. Well, Richard, I think you and I met. We were just talking before we hit record a minute ago. You and I have known each other since what, 2009?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
almost 2 decades. Neither one of us had hair back then either, so we look about the same.
That's
Um,
right.
but I met you. I met you when I was working with a company as their sales and VP or sales and marketing VP, and got to know each other. Figured out we're both Marines, have great sense of mentality, pride of being a Marine, and over the last several years, I think I was on your podcast. We were talking the other day. I think I was one of your first
Uh,
guests
yeah.
ever
Yeah, like
on
six
on
years ago or
STS.
something.
It
Yeah.
was a while. It was a long time
Yeah.
ago.
Escape the owner prison. That was the escape the owner prison.
Okay, right on.
Yeah, that was like
Well,
2020 or something.
well, I got into
2019.
digital
Man.
marketing back in 2004. I started using Al Gore's internet, and I'm grateful for that. Or I might end up having a law enforcement career or something still in telecom. But I got into digital marketing back in '04, and about 8, 9 years ago, I opened a marketing agency, and really have done over $1 billion in digital sales since I got involved. But then, the crazy part is it's funny how like one thing leads to another thing leads to another thing. And being a serial capitalist and opportunist, my business partner in the marketing company and I had some guys come in that were selling this electronic or electric efficiency box. Kind of, you see it right here, right there
Yep.
behind me on the wall. And they were telling us all about it. They wanted to hire our marketing agency to do digital for them and do some lead gen, so they weren't doing door to door sales. And so these guys sit down with us and they start telling us about what they called the magic box. And it lowered people's electricity bills by 30 to 60%. All these crazy stats these guys are throwing at us. And I just said to them, this sounds way too good to be true. And let them know that our philosophy, our policy was we never would work with anybody who was hurting people. So if we wouldn't empower people to go rip other people off or hurt people, And so I told the guys, you've got 90 days to prove that this is legit. And they write us a check. They walk out of the office, and being the redneck that I am, I looked at my business partner, Ross Denny, and I said, smells like BS to me. And I'm happy to say 75 days later, I had a big bowl of crow to eat. As I told the guys, not only does your box work as you described, actually you undersold it and you undervalued what the actual benefits are to the customer. And that journey led us to acquiring the company actually from the owner a year ago. So just a little while ago, we acquired the company. It's called Interactive Energy Systems. And we've got a very unique product that's out in the marketplace that is a demand automation controller, demand automation computer. And it literally does what those guys claimed it does. It saves people 30 to 60% on their most expensive months of their electric bills and about 10 to 30% on the regular non-expensive months. There's 35,000 of these deployed, and bottom line is we've just been building one heck of a business and a dealer network and sales channels and collateral because, as you probably know, as good if not better than anybody, Richard, you've got to have a front end and a back end. And the guy that we bought the company from is a brilliant electrical engineer. I didn't know there was an electrical engineering hall of fame. He's in it. Found that out about this time
Wow.
last year. And he sales and marketing were never his strong suit. I think his exact words to me were, Michael, I couldn't sell a $10 bill for a dollar. But as a product developer, as an inventor, as a guy who's obsessive about a product, that's the guy you want building. So
That's it.
one reason why we have a product that I believe is second to none. And we've been in the process of building the front end, the back end, and all the stuff that goes along with it since you and I last spoke.
Yeah, it's so cool because now here's the reality. I mean, you already said it, but I haven't met a lot of high quality engineers who are great at marketing. Okay, the two just there's no marriage ever happening there, right? They're lab guys, they're builders, they're innovators, they're doing that kind of stuff, and they don't know how to sell. A lot of me was on that side. I'm an innovator. I can build a business, but like my marketing, everything else was brutal, and even pre-internet, it was even worse. Okay,
Right,
like I can make more mistakes cheaper now. Okay, back then they were expensive mistakes. Nothing
right.
was inexpensive. So it was, flyers cost $3,000. You know what I mean? It was insane. So I, I, I love the whole evolution. And again, having known you so long, seen you go through all these stages. But even with this, like you validate the product, you understand who built it, you know who's on the team, then you're able to marry that with your marketing skills. Like you said, over $1 billion in sales on marketing, like you've got that part. So bringing those two together. So this is what's really unique. And why I really want you on the podcast here is it's a business podcast, right? We're not here to sell things, but we're here to say, like, how do you bring those two together? Because this is where businesses fail. They've got the great product, they got a great service, but they can't get it to people, right? They can't. How do you? That's the whole thing, right? That's the game. Lead gen, closing it, that whole process. So it's just I just find it really unique from where you were. I've seen the whole thing. You and I have both have we've traveled the journeys, right?
Yeah,
And now we're here, but you brought these two things together, and you told me about this about a year ago. I think the first time you told me was when you
yeah,
first were
yeah.
getting into it, and I was like, oh, that's really fascinating. Like, well, who are you going to sell it to? So it's like we went through that whole thing, and now where it is today is really awesome. So let's kind of walk through that. When you and your partner make this, you met them, you do. I know you did kind of high level, but let's go a little bit in the weeds, just a little bit on like
Absolutely.
what's the there's going to be stages and steps you're going to take till it's finally like this is a go, and now we're going to push this out there. What was that kind of interim between love it, okay, great guy, Hall of Famer, great tool, really works, and now we actually have to get it in people's hands.
That's a great question. Well, luckily for us, we've got some legacy dealers that have stuck around. I've got a father son in Virginia. The father's a Naval Academy grad. They've each sold 5,000 individually of
Wow.
our units. We've got a couple in Arizona that have sold 25,000. So the proof was there on it. Being able to see this in the marketplace was there. One of the first things we did is we brought on a third partner. You mentioned the engineers can't market, can't sell. My business
Right.
partner in the agency is that unicorn who can. He's a mechanical engineer, graduated, worked for Jack Walsh over at GE for years. But he's one of those brilliant kind of savant kind of guys where he can access left and right brain,
Right.
left side and right side of the brain, and just like pure brilliance. But he's not an operator, and he can do it, but that's not his passion. You've seen it. I can do it. It's not my passion. I could grind if I had to. So one of the first things we did is we looked at areas that we were the weakest in, and we had a third partner that saw the vision, let us know how undervalued he felt we were undervaluing the company, the product offers, etc. Younger guy, Richard, he's in his late 30s, sold a company for type of money that he would never have to work again, and he doesn't have to. And him and his business partner literally could ride off, his former business partner. They could ride off in the sunset, never work another day in their life, and live like kings and queens. But when he saw what we had here, he said, "Not only do I want to be an investor, but I'd be interested in coming aboard and helping you guys build, grow, and scale this." And so as we got to know him a little bit, what I realized is he's passionate about being an operator. He's those are the type of areas where his lights all turn on, or me, it's
Right.
like, I'm on 1 out of 10 lights if you got me, and that
Right.
seems so boring to me to be an operator. As from an operational standpoint, I don't need to work on the manufacturing side because we own the manufacturing plant, all the good stuff. Like my role, I'm like, look, let's put us each in our lanes of genius where we get excited, we're passionate about, and start going. So, my role here was to start working with our legacy dealers, as well as to building out the sales tools and systems and all the types of stuff that would make the sales guys in the field so much better. So we tried using off-the-shelf software. Finally, we started building our own software last October. Nothing we found was actually working. And even though this is an emotional sale, it's also got to be backed by logic. And so one of the first things that we did is we started building a calculator so that we could literally grab anybody's electric bill, figure out who their provider is, what their current rate plan is, put in their data, and then the system will spit out and let you know what your anticipated results would look like with our system. And so it's been a journey, dude. I'll just tell you, you know,
Yeah.
starting up, and I'm sure your listeners can understand, like just getting insurance, liability, workers' comp, with what's happened in the solar space, it's been devastating. And so I laugh. I go, it'd be easier for me to be a person living in Haiti to adopt an American child than it was to get insurance. And if you
Yeah.
think that was tough, you've seen how hard it was for us to get banks to say, yeah, we want to underwrite and be your third party customer finance partners. Luckily, we have those today, but it was like getting that last pull up in boot camp. It wasn't easy, but it was definitely worth it.
Right. That's awesome. Yeah. It is. It's really, it, it's not complex because it's easy to say it's complex. It's not. It's just every step is difficult.
Oh yeah,
You know what I mean? It's not, you're not like coasting and then all of a sudden you run into a little bump. I mean, it's like every step, and half time you don't even know what the steps are. You run into these things, that are going to slow
yeah,
things down. And like you said, first, you're going through like, how do we get people to validate why they want this? How do you compare what they have? I do the same thing. I have a simulator. Like we create a simulator and you can answer these
right,
questions and it pop out like, okay, well, that's a, great lead magnet, right? They can see their situation. We all have to figure out how to do that in our own space. It's one of the great techniques, but then like you said, now you got to walk through it. You have to produce these. You got to sell them. You got to get them out there. What is the insurance? What are you insuring? The whole thing.
right.
So every one of them's unique. And it's getting over these hurdles. This is why whatever it is, 97% of all new businesses fail in the first 5 years because they keep hitting these. I'll air quote new hurdles.
I call them
That are
dragons. I
yeah,
call them
and
dragons.
yeah, they come out and breathe a little fire on your toast. Okay, but this happens continuously, and this is where it takes absolute resilience. You got to have grit. You got to push through this stuff, and you're coming in as a weathered, experienced entrepreneur. Okay. And you still, and it just doesn't get like, it gets better, but it doesn't really get easier. Do you know what I mean?
I don't even know if it gets better. I would just say it's being more comfortable and understanding. Because the way I look at it, every day when I wake up as a business owner, there's a new dragon egg that's been hatched, and I've got to slay that dragon before I can get on with the rest of my day. And it could be little things like you know, shipping got messed up, or something happened on the quality side. I had someone this morning say, "I can't get to your website." So, well, let me find out. So, this is one of my dealers down in Tucson, Arizona. Well, you're just missing this one little part on this small detail. The website can't guess if there's a typo there, right? But there's
Right.
always, that may not be the best analogy, but there's always something every single day. And it's just like you said, it's having that grit and being like, okay,
Yeah.
it's just part of the process. It's like getting a flat tire on a road trip. You're going to have to pull over and change the tire. Either you're going to do it or someone else is going to do it. So if you don't have the skills, you got to have someone else come do it. And if you do have the skills, bang your knuckles a little bit and get that tire changed and get it back on the highway.
Yeah. It's what I mean, there isn't a day that really goes by as I've built the last couple of years, what I'm doing, same every day, as I'm building it, it's broken. 50 hours to fix it. Okay. It's okay. I'm going, everything's good. Boom. And now I'm talking about just doing code work. I'm not a coder. So
Me
that's why it's
neither.
fit. That's why it's 50 hours to fix it. So someone knows what they're doing. It's probably like 25 minutes. I don't know what it took me 50 hours, but it kept happening. But no one would have done what I did. They would have just said, I'm done.
Right.
I'm just, this is the advantage of being a thick Marine. You're too dumb to quit. So you just keep going and eventually it all works out. So and it has, but the amount of hurdles that I've run into as well is it was daily. Every single day there's another issue, because here's the other thing with a lot of us, not every entrepreneur, but like guys like you and I, we really like to do big things.
Hmm.
We're not interested in doing little things. Little things don't get the lights lit, as you said, right? So big things are you're going to have bigger problems, bigger issues, bigger hurdles, right?
Next level, next devil, right?
Yeah, yeah. It's
That's
just
that's the thing. I think I would be kind of bored if it was just doing the same thing day in and day out. I'm not a guy that sticks to doing that same monotonous detail every single day. Every morning that I wake up in the companies that I own, there's always something that requires a little bit of attention, etc. But also having that true vision and knowing what are we building for? Is it worth it? We're going to put in time and energy and effort in anything that we do, whether we're an employee working for someone else or whether we're an employer and we're out there doing it for others. So it's like there's that analogy you've heard some say, it's tough when you quit and it's tough when you do this, so pick your tough. I'll pick
yeah,
my tough where it's like, hey, I know I've got a vision and my focus is over there. When I actually get to wherever my destination is, like, man, I thought I'd feel a lot different, but I accomplished that
yeah,
goal, accomplished
yeah.
that dream.
Yeah, it's I say the journey and all that, which it is. It's important, but without the vision, there's no journey.
Hmm.
You're aimlessly wandering, and that's what a lot of business owners do. Because I talk to them, I want to work with them, and like, there's no plan. They're just getting to next Friday.
Well,
You know
that's
what
a
I mean?
shame because, as you know, and as I just shared, I also own a marketing company. And, one of the things that separates our marketing company from so many others is that we invest the first 4 to 6 weeks just in building strategy and understanding the marketplace, understanding the customer. And some of our customers understand it's like us, right? If we're going to go into battle in the Marine Corps, you know what that battle plan is before you step 1 foot close to fire. Doesn't mean things aren't going to change. They're going to change in a heartbeat. Like Mike Tyson said, everybody has a plan until you get punched in the face.
Yeah,
But and I look at the marketing structure. It's like I talk to business owners and I go, "What are your numbers?" They don't know them. Where do you want to get? Well, I just want to get to here. Well, how do you intend to go from here to here? We got to have a strategy that takes us from one to the other. And with this, it's like we know what that end result is. We've got 35,000 units that have been deployed. Those are 35,000 households that can stretch their bills when it comes to energy. They can consume more energy. They can keep their homes cooler in the summer, warmer in the winter, and still save money. so we're helping people get from one side to the other just by painting that picture for them and then having a detailed plan. This is one of the most technical things I've ever done. I've got a
Yeah.
physical product where in my previous career in the last 20 plus years, it's always a digital product. My cost of goods were never the same. So again, it's being a business owner, next level, next devil, finding employees that say, hey, I want a raise, I demand a raise, or stuff like that. It's always going to be something, right?
Yeah. It's always something, and I think I'm not going to totally swerve here, but it's going to be a shallow rabbit hole. When you're talking about electric now, like people have to understand the rate of consumption
Hmm.
with AI and everything else, right? They're saying in less than it's like 3 to 5 years, AI alone will consume our entire grid's
Yeah.
capabilities, right?
Yeah.
So two things. First, they got to fix that, right? And go nuclear. Okay. But it's like, but at the same time, like high demand, high price,
Oh yeah.
short supply, high price, right? You better start thinking now about how you can save on your, on your own bills. This is the individual, this is the self-ownership thing. Like, what can you do? And that's why I love this product that you have. You bring this out. This is I'm going to put it in the quick fix category, right?
Hmm.
I mean, you're looking at this box that's like, I don't know, it's like 18 inches by 18 inches. I don't know. It's like you're looking at this thing and you're thinking that'll do that. I mean, yeah,
Let's just put it in reference. It's about the size of a box of Jordans, right?
yeah, there you go. Well, unless they're mine, I'm big feet. Um,
Boat shoes you got.
yes, yes, I have to shop by size, not style. Um, but I look at that too. Like this is one of those innovations that come to a market, and I think this is where when we talk about marketing a product, you've got this incredible product, like because we all know that it's benefits over features, right?
Oh
You're
yeah.
selling benefits, not features. You have all the features. Like you said, I think of the logic aspect you mentioned earlier, like that's your final lid close on the literal sales close, right? You're selling on the benefits, and then it's wrap it up with like how awesome it is, and then put all that together and you sell. But again, like you, people can say there's no way. Where
I
has
hate to
this
believe.
been?
Look, I'm a skeptic or a cynic. As you know, and I did a lap move in the Marine Corps. Went from a Cobra helicopter plane captain, a fancy term for a mechanic, to an MP, the most hated Marine in the Marine Corps.
That's right.
Right. So, looking at all this, it was all about the features, all about the benefits. My opening conversation with people, I literally ask them. I go, hey, when you walk into a resort, what's one of the first things you do when you get to your room? And I can tell people tell me I drop my bags and walk over to the thermostat. And if it's warm, I make it cooler. If it's cold, I make it warmer. And I said, okay, why do you do that? I said, because I'm not paying for it.
Right.
Got it. So,
Right.
all right. So you keep your thermostat in the hotel room 72 degrees. What do you keep your thermostat at home in the summertime? Oh, 78. Well, why? It's because they're trying to keep the bills down. I said, okay, what if we could give you a way to live like you're at a resort, 72 degrees, and your bills actually went down? Your consumption could go up, but your bills went down. Would that be of any interest to you? And people go, yeah, of course. It's at 1, 2. We open with comfort. That's the
Hey,
emotional side. And then we say, hey, we can also save you up to 30 to 60%. That becomes the logical side. It's that Mike Tyson 1, 2 punch again, right? One, one,
well,
two.
yeah, and when you frame it in a resort, you put them in another place.
Mm-hmm.
Their mind goes to that. Okay, they've probably had good experiences there, right? And if you started with imagine sitting in your home and it's 72 all the time, yeah. So I do 78 right now. You know what I mean? It's like I love that you attached it. You took them away from there, put them in this place that's luxurious. They don't have to worry about it, and now you can bring that home. That's what's cool. Right? I don't know if I'm sure you thought of that, but it's like to me, it's like that's always the thing. You have to transport people. I always say when we talk about their pain, right? We get the pain, whether that's utility bills or it's, physical pain, to not the how to fix it, but the outcome. Show me
Right.
the sunshine and butterflies. That's what life will look like when I do that. That's that. So we're sharing, we're sitting in their pain over here and then we're showing them what it'll be like after. They don't care how it's fixed,
Right.
right? That's my point. Big box, little box. If the box fixes it, that's all I need. I don't need to
Right.
know what's in it. I just need to know where can I get it.
As
That's
I
all I
tell
need.
a lot of my guys, I don't care how the sausage is made, it just has to taste good.
That's right. That's right. And that's what I'm saying. It's like, and I think more people from their business standpoint, I get this all the time when I'm working with businesses. They love their features,
Hmm.
and I get it. They built it. It's their baby and everything else. I said, but it's not going to sell your product. It's really not. It's not. If you just spend time telling how great it is, you're going to sell some to the five engineers that are interested in all that stuff. But if you want to sell it to every housewife, so that she's at home or whatever, like, and the family they live in 72 year round. Okay, that's sweet, right? What does that life look like? Show me what that life looks like. You don't have to talk about the benefits. So I think
You
it's
just
just one of
painted a
those.
picture in my mind as you were saying that. I could see me creating an entire marketing campaign just for women going through the change. Hey, wouldn't it be great if,
There you
I
go.
might get in trouble for my wife, but that's a different story, and we'll kind of leave that one here on
And
the table,
you had the fan, the hand
right?
fan. That's just they're flapping like they do in church. They're like you got that because we got a few of those in church. Seem like oh the fans are out because they got to turn the heat down. But
Well, I
yeah, you
can't
could do
believe
that.
how many people, like I said, live at a temperature that they don't enjoy. I know you, of all people, will understand. In the 90s, I can remember being out at Camp Wilson in 29 Palms,
Oh, dude.
50 Marines in one of those big tents, spending the night there. It's 100 degrees out. They roll the flaps up on the sides so we get a little cross breeze. And I can remember laying in there thinking, this stuff sucks. Not being in the
Yeah.
Marine Corps, but just sleeping in 100 plus degrees at night on a
Hey, we had a
cot,
cot. We had a
on a
cot. What are
cot,
you talking about?
right? And I remember saying to myself, I'm never going to be uncomfortable.
Oh,
And that's so
oh,
this is like brings it full circle. I did a training yesterday for our internal dealers, and I shared that story. I'm like, I was the opposite. I said, I don't care what it's going to cost. I'm going to live so I don't have to feel like I'm back in Camp Wilson with sweat rolling down the middle of my back, and I can hear it dripping onto my cot right there. Like, I'm not going to do that. But I've also paid a fortune, I'm sure, over the years. Bills in Arizona getting over $1,000 a month in the summer
yeah.
was normal.
Right. Yeah. I don't think about Camp Wilson. We got kicked out of Camp Wilson. Had to go live in the desert for the operation. So bad. So we didn't even have cots. We had to leave all those. We had to roll the jeeps up through everything and we get out of there in the middle of the night because they were coming and we weren't allowed back.
See,
Yeah. So
we're
good
we're from two
times.
different Marine Corps. I was when we had Humvees. You're saying Jeeps, so
Yeah, we had
I
the
pictured
M151
Bash all of
baby.
a sudden,
Yeah,
right?
exactly. These are M151s, man. You're talking, yeah, Korea, Vietnam, whatever. But yeah, it's wild. Yeah, showing my age, but no, you're exactly right. This is the thing. And we both have lived in Arizona, right? My family's out there living here. We all lived in the desert. I'm like, this is air conditioning built the valley,
Oh yeah.
right? Like without that, but now you're that's getting cost prohibitive. You're dropping a
What's
grand,
look?
like
The first time I got a bill for 1,000, my 19-year-old was 3 months old, and
wow.
we talk about PTSD. I think my wife had to peel me off the ceiling, and so since then,
Mhm.
since that was summer of '08, I think.
Yeah.
We got that bill, and then like we knew, don't do anything from 4 o'clock to 6 o'clock or 4 o'clock to 8 o'clock. And so until we purchased the company, even like my wife bought one of those Coleman inflatable
Yeah.
spas during
Yeah.
COVID, and every day at 3:30 she'd walk outside and she'd unplug it from the wall because she's like, look, I'm not gonna, because it's electric heat. That's a big draw. Anything that has a
Yeah.
thermal device on it that's electric is a huge draw in your bill.
Yeah.
And it's like, I think most people don't realize that they've got another way of living. I didn't.
Right.
We looked at solar, and we always had people knock on our door for solar and for batteries
Yeah.
and whatnot. And if I'd known about this product's been around long before. I mean, I'm born in '72. This product came out in '78. A
That's
different
what's amazing.
revision
Yeah.
of it, right?
Yeah.
There's 38 different versions that we have of this. It's just I would have bought it as a consumer years ago.
Right. But see, that's the thing, right? Goes back to marketing. You didn't even know it existed.
His entire marketing strategies he found a handful of distributors in the states where the product works and said, "You people handle that. I'm going to stay obsessed on product."
Right.
Right. So we took that same product obsession and said, "We're going to keep obsession on product. But what if? What if we found dealers and actually created outside sales teams and all the good stuff there?" So that's, we've got our goal is we've got 35,000 legacy customers, just residential. And, we've got some of the data. So we have like the Google Maps and we can see like this is a product that goes viral. Like you and I happen to be at the bar, but let's pretend we're in Arizona still.
Right.
We're at the neighborhood barbecue on 4th of July, and you're like, dude, did they get you again? Pick whichever utility provider it is.
Right.
Because summer rates went up 6 days ago. On the 1st of May,
Yeah.
all three major utility companies in Arizona have their summer rates. A couple of them will have another jump throughout the summer where the rates get even crazier. But so we're at the barbecue and you're like, hey man, did they get you again? Pick the three letters for the utility company you want. And I said, no, no. And Richard, I've been to your house. You keep it a little bit warmer than I like. We got about the same size house. My bill's 200, 300, $400 plus lower than yours. And all of a sudden you go, baloney, show me. Well, come on, let's go. Or I pull up my phone and I show you and you go, what is it? And I take it inside my house and go, it's this guy here. I go, what does it do? It's air traffic control for my home, right?
Love it. That's
So
awesome.
it's
Yeah.
it's a good
It,
viral product for our
yeah,
dealers. They
man.
love it. They make one sale. Next thing you know, a couple people share, and that becomes sale over sale over sale for them.
Yeah. I mean, this is the timing's right also. Do you
Oh
know what I
yeah,
mean? It's like yeah, the bills have been up for 20 years, whatever. But I mean, really now people are to see it. It's converging,
oh yeah.
and they've seen all this stuff, and I saw a cool stat the other day, like wind and solar, they've spent $10 trillion on it so far, 10 trillion. And it's not even equaling 3% of,
Isn't that crazy?
consumption, right? Three,
Isn't that
$10
crazy?
trillion dollars.
You
Okay.
said it. You said the solution already. If people are listening, the solution is build more nuclear plants,
Yeah,
and
it
it's
is.
not Chernobyl. It's not
No,
dropping a bomb somewhere different kind of nuclear.
nope.
If you look at Georgia Power, the largest energy provider in the state of Georgia, they've had a 31% rate increase over the last 5 years, cumulative. Reason why? They got the newest nuclear plant in the nation that they've just built. Why are not all these companies doing it? Utility
Right.
companies. And you look at Google just said they're going to spend $1 billion
Yep.
with a B to build their own energy facility. Why? For this thing called AI. I
Yeah.
was
They're
playing
going
on
to do
AI with
two
my
nuke
wife.
plants. They're going to do two nuke plants.
Yeah, I was playing on AI last night with my wife, showing her a couple things. I turned our dog into a general and into a fighter pilot. Just different things, just kind of goofing off. Like, look at what it actually does. And she said, "Well, aren't you scared that you're hurting the environment?" Like, for doing that? No, no. You know,
Yeah.
if anything, I'm
Yeah.
more concerned with the fact that I'm pulling electricity out. But at the end of the day, it might help my business a little bit. So let's do a little bit
Yeah.
more.
Yeah. It's something. It's really fascinating, and it's, you know, the whole energy in itself from mining. Okay, so you're talking mining, you're talking oil refinery, right? All this stuff is like it's energy consumption
Oh
or
yeah,
energy creation, right? It's one or the other, right? Some has to, it has to consume in order to produce, right? Same thing. So you got to go into the ground and take this stuff out. Well, that takes energy, you
right.
know. Any civilization that is a legit civilization requires inexpensive fuel. It doesn't
Absolutely.
happen. You have to be able to you can't build a civilization with high price, super expensive fuel. It doesn't happen, So and for me, I'm always like, why don't people get this? Why is this not taught? Well, because there's this environmental agenda and the whole thing, and they're doing all that kind of stuff for control and whatever. But I'm like, this is the reality,
But we're,
What?
we're removed from it, right?
Right.
Our great ancestors either were hunters or gatherers or farmers, et cetera, and to survive, they actually had to go do things. When I come home, I put my key in the door, unlock the door, I push a little piece of plastic up, and all of a sudden the light in my hallway comes on. I don't think about that. It
That's
just
right.
is. And if I'm too warm, I walk over to this little box on the wall and I do a couple buttons, and then it's cooler, or vice versa. It's like we don't think about what we don't have to experience anymore.
Yeah. I do this
You know,
exercise, and I actually did it this morning. Come back from the gym, I'm kind of strolling the yard, and looking at stuff, and I started thinking about just that. I'm like, what if, like, we didn't have that? We didn't just turn a light on. You kind
mhm.
of got to go back. I mean, it's like, and this, and like, yeah, I have a fire pit, but I don't have to heat my home. Though a lot of people out where I do they're collecting that wood every year and they're heating their home with wood and all, which is cool. But I'm like, man, that's too much work. That's a lot
You know,
of
funny
work.
you say that.
You know?
I just had an awareness moment a few weeks ago. A customer from like 2000-ish, called from Alaska, from Juneau, Alaska, reached out to us and said, "Hey, I want to buy a new computer." And as I was learning, because I've only lived in the southern part of the United States. The farthest
Okay.
north I ever lived was North Carolina, and that's because the Marine Corps put me there.
Yeah.
Other than that, I'm a lizard man. I need warm places to live so I can, get a little vitamin D and have a big smile on my face from that. But talking to this gentleman in Alaska, he was explaining to me that because of our computer, he gets a better price because he has a heat pump, and that's his primary. His secondary heat, I go, secondary? He goes, yeah, I've got to have a backup.
Right.
Secondary heat is he uses water out of his hot water heater to heat his floors. And then the third way that he heats his home is with pellets. And the fourth way he heats his home is with a fossil fuel backup, which he's not a fan of fossil fuels. And it got me thinking, I'm like, wait a second, if he didn't have a secondary and if his power went out, he would die. There's a good chance because of that climate,
Right.
they could
Right.
die. I haven't died of heat yet, but I can't imagine if I got 100 degrees in my home, I don't think I would die. But the same token, like seeing how different it is, and then understanding how each utility company looks at things, because with AI, as you already said, there's not enough energy in the grid right now or the ability to do that. I live literally on the Atlantic Ocean. I look out at the ocean, and I always think to myself, why is there not like as the waves go and the tide goes, why are there not like bobbers out there that are doing their thing, that are basically pumps? You could have them outside of
Israel
people's
created those.
views.
Israel created those. They're using the exact technology.
Right,
They're utilizing. I mean, it's there. It just hasn't been marketed. It's like your box.
right.
It's been around, but no one's getting out there and applying this stuff. I love it though, and you have to think about that. And I think you're right. I mean, again, hot is really hot. I mean, you don't want to be in the steel box when it's 120 out. You're probably going to die, but
No, for sure.
you'll definitely freeze to death. Okay, I mean, there's a time when like here in Wisconsin, man, we'll get 40 below. 50 below.
I
That's
don't even know how to
cold.
compute that. I think the
Okay,
coolest I've ever been is like negative single digit, right? And
yeah,
that's snowboarding because of a wind chill.
that's right. But that's cold. Okay, I
Yeah,
mean,
it
it's
sounds
cold,
cold.
so it's like, and you're sitting there in your, heated home and everything else. You're like, boy, it sure is nice to be in here. Like I said, I'm not, putting wood on the fire or run out of wood, because you don't have enough supply and then you die, so it's just, but I just, again, back to the business aspect of all of this, we have to look at that. And I think to go kind of macro with this, and we just did it, but really looking at the economy of energy,
Mhm.
right? So from a business standpoint, you got to bring this inside and go, where does this fit in the economy of energy? Yeah, you're saving 30 to 60% of the bill, but like grander scale. So if you're taking that vision and you're looking down the road, you know, like what are you projecting with this? What are you seeing? Is there going to be additional innovation? Are you like, this is going to be awesome for the next 10 years? Then deals do you guys ever do that? Do you have these sessions
100%.
when you
100%. So we bought someone else's baby, right? And so um, the baby that we bought doesn't have AI in it. It has, some of the boxes have connectivity. So we're looking at it saying, okay, again, sales and marketing mind. So wouldn't it be great if we were able to aggregate all the data out of the box? We know what somebody's current energy bill is, what their rates are, tariffs, et cetera. So if we were to take them off the plan they're on, put them on the less expensive plan they don't get access to unless they've got one of our boxes, and we're able to show savings, I can create a viral app. I can also create over the air updates. I can make settings over it. So, we're looking at connectivity. Bluetooth, cellular,
Mm,
um, Wi-Fi, even satellite potential, and things like that that are not just for sales and marketing, though that's a big part, but also that would be for keeping up to date, less expensive. I don't have to send a technician out. I don't have to talk to the homeowner or the customer over phone, which means less human capital from a customer support
right.
resource side. But if they were to, literally go to an app and say, I want to change my demand limit from a 5 to a 6, if there's a lifestyle change, like my business partner Ross, when we put the box on his house 1 year ago, he lived by himself and he kept it at 78 in his home prior to us putting the box on. And that is his fiance moved in. She brought her daughter. It's now his wife, and they went from 78 to 72, 6 degree difference, and still saved almost 50% on those same month over month bills. Looking at
Mhm.
24 to 2024 to 2025. So we're always looking at it from an innovation standpoint. How do we make it better for the consumer? How do we make it better for the utility company? Someone asked me yesterday, wouldn't utility companies hate us for this? And I said, no. I've got several utility companies that are customers of ours, where they have a different type of demand event where they, at the utility level, they send a signal and it reaches one of our boxes and it turns the demand down a little bit, so their home becomes more efficient at the time. I've got other utility companies like SRP in Arizona that we're on their website. If you buy a solar system and put one of our boxes on with the solar system, SRP, the actual second largest utility company in Arizona, will give you a rebate themselves. So it's really just understanding, I think, not just innovation, but it's also understanding where the market is. So like I don't think the energy companies are worried about consumer draw. They're more worried about data centers and AI and things
Yeah.
like that. So the data center guys have really been our focus. Like, look, why are we as consumers having to subsidize the demand and the draw that the data centers have? We don't get much out of it. And I
Right.
sold data when I first got the Marine Corps in '98. I was selling telecom and data, and I can remember just walking in. You could hang meat in there, and
Yeah.
they're
Yeah.
water cooled and back up to the backup to the
Yep.
backup. And
Yep.
here's your different air conditioners, and that was 30 years ago, almost
Yeah.
'98, so 28 years ago. I
Yeah.
think things have changed, but the demand, no pun intended, but the demand for electricity in those data centers has increased.
Yeah.
And data centers are popping up everywhere.
Yeah. We got a big fight right now here for one. We have an old General Motors plant that shut down a decade plus ago, just sitting there empty. They want to turn it into a data center. And everyone's, because I mean, you got the big hum, you got the water cooling, you got, uses all this stuff, right? A lot of demand. I think one of the points you're making here is with the electric company, like if you can save on demand, they can serve more people.
Yeah.
They don't lose. They don't lose by people saving on the electricity. You know what I mean? Because it's not finite,
Well, if you
or it
think
is
about it,
finite. It is
think about it
finite.
this way. Most people in today's modern America, most families are two families, two members that go to work.
Right.
So as brilliant as solar is, a lot of times solar is powering an empty house. So if you get home from work between 4 o'clock and 6 o'clock, like 80% plus of America, and I'm making up that percentage, by the way, and your kids are coming home from sports, and you've got dinner that goes in the stove and on the oven, and the kids are going in the bath, so the hot water heater turns on, and
Mm.
the sports gear goes into the washer and the dryer and the dishwasher's on. All of a sudden, that requirement for electricity is just going up and up and up, right? So the energy providers, because they have a monopoly usually in their market, their mandate is they've got to provide 100% of required requested electricity usage at any time. So, what they did is they built the time of use plans where you pay a lower rate when most people aren't home, and then when everybody gets home, like I just painted that picture, a rate that's 4 times, 5 times, sometimes the cost. But then when you add the demand element, which if any all your listeners who are commercial guys who have commercial bills, what they're accustomed to having that three-part bill. Peak,
Right.
which is rush hour traffic, off peak, which is not rush hour traffic, and then demand, which is the speed or consumption of use, the time of use. And so, you look at that and it's just it becomes crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. It's wild. It's again, your average consumer, all they care about is the temperature
Mhm.
and the bill, right? So they don't kind of get the complexity of it, or even how the business of energy works. And it really is fascinating. We're not going to dive into all this stuff, but the energy sector in itself is fascinating from a
Yeah,
consumption standpoint, a providing a collection, that from an investment standpoint, it's I've told you it builds civilizations. It's
100%. Well, think about the
energy.
responsibility they have. They've got
Right.
lives at stake. If they don't
Yep.
provide energy, it's not that they don't get to watch the Wheel of Fortune. It's that people literally die.
Yeah, we have there's a company, Power Solutions International, and they're based out of Chicago. They're all here. They got three different plants. They're one time they had 63 megawatt generators sitting out front of their thing, right? And they're building the housing on them and stuff. 3 megawatts, like they have a
It's huge.
4,000 gallon diesel tank underneath them. So I'm going there. So I'm walking. I drive by every day. I gotta go talk to these guys. So I walk in on the floor and I find this the shift guy, and I'm like, dude, okay, you just gotta tell me, is the world coming to an end? Like what? I've just watched you guys can't. He goes, no, man, this is just for AI. And I'm
Mhm.
like, dang, 3 megawatts. I mean, in the comparison to solar, it takes 10 acres of solar panels to create 1 megawatt of power.
Megawatt, not even a gigawatt.
Right. So
Right.
think about this. This is literally 10 by 30 foot. This is a shipping container.
Right.
It's very heavy, but it puts out like that's 3 megawatts, But again, it's running by fuel, it's diesel fuel that's running these things, man. These are big cat generators and stuff.
Right.
Fascinating though. You know what I mean? People don't think about this and they're like, and they just keep bringing them. They went from 20 a month to 60 a month. That was the demand. That's
Is
a
this a
big
data
jump.
center that's already up and running, or is this coming soon?
These are just supplying.
Got it. Okay.
These guys are manufacturing, so they're getting the generator, and then they build all the housing for them and everything else, cupolas, the whole deal, and they ship them off. They're just fulfilling demand.
And
They
it's not
just
going to get
create the
easier.
power. Yeah, they're just growing like crazy. It's amazing, but I'm like, wow, I mean, you don't when you see that, it's one of those things where you look at it and go, that's a lot.
Yeah.
That's created a lot of power. And I'm thinking backup generator, right? And I'm like, no, this is not a backup generator. This is legit 24/7 running. This is not if things go down. Because I thought maybe they're backup generators for hospitals or
Think
something.
about the investment, not just the fuel and maintenance, but just the equipment. They obviously had to make that capex because they're not getting it from the grid, or if they are
That's
getting it
right.
from the grid, it's
That's
not a
right.
cost advantage. So it's an interesting thing that you bring up. I mean, you got my little monkey brain going nuts over here as I'm thinking about, like, think of the difference in that. And we don't think about that.
I'm telling you
Things
because
could.
like diesel, I mean it's high right now, okay, because of whatever's going on in the Middle East. But the reality is it's the cheapest fuel.
Mhm.
I mean it's plentiful, unbelievably plentiful, right? Like, and they're using it for this, like so that I mean, imagine that bill. You're not going to swipe your card on a 4,000 gallon diesel fill.
You better have a big card,
You better have the unlimited
especially see
Amex. Yeah,
diesels, even more expensive than premium fuel right now, premium unleaded. It's a
yeah,
huge difference. But that's why the cost of all of our stuff is going up right now.
that's right. That's right. I'm telling you,
Transportation
man.
and fuel.
It's energy. It's inexpensive energy. You got to have it. So just awesome. Well, I think we beat that horse long enough. Well, it's dead. So just in case people are worried, I'm beating a
Rest in
live
peace.
horse.
Rest in peace.
Rest in peace. But Michael, this has been awesome. So let's do this. How do people get to the box, get to you, whatever we need to do here? Let's give them the direct path so they can if they're interested in getting more info on this and putting it in their home, because I would advise it. Okay, I'm
Absolutely.
recommending it. I'm working with distributors and other individual electricians. I'm helping them get this in people's homes as well because I love it. I love what it is.
Appreciate that. Well, the number one thing I would tell people, if you've got an interest, is just reach out to me directly. I'm happy to share my cell phone number. It's all over the world, all over the web. But it's real easy. It's 480-515-9890. Best way is call or text. But I would tell you, just do a little bit of homework first, is look at your local energy provider, whoever that is, and see if there's a time of use demand plan, time of use demand. And if you've got that at that point, then you know that you're in a prime market. But I've got people literally all over the United States that live in a state like Arkansas or Oklahoma or somewhere that they don't have it themselves, but that doesn't mean they can't offer it other places. So,
Right.
I'm always looking to expand our nationwide dealer network. Someone can visit us online at interactiveenergysystems.com, interactiveenergysystems.com, and you'll see right there on the page there's a dealer inquiry section. Go there, put your information in, and expect me to give you a call in a day or two. But the reality is this, Richard. I think that the time is now. It's been a perfect time. We're seeing a perfect storm brewing between mass consumption and the requirement for more, and then for people are tuning into your podcast here. They're either business owners already, or they're
Right.
people that are looking at the operational standpoint of being a business owner. So isn't it great if you could offer a product that's in a high demand that has a massive benefit to your customer, as well as a sidebar benefit to the actual energy providers? I think it's a triple edge win win win. I might be a little biased, but I do think that it's a great opportunity for a dealer. It's a great opportunity for a consumer where they can actually see the proof. As we always say, the proof is in the power bill. Even more so, the proof is in your power bill. So I just say, hey, you want to see it, run the numbers, book a time with me. I'll happily show you how. If you've already got some kind of home improvement business, this is just adding another SKU, and it's two extra questions that you ask during the entire process. When you've gained your customers' trust, you ask a couple questions. The next thing you know, they're asking you for information, and then it's just like I said, it's a product that we've got that's backed by a 30-year warranty. Um, and the proof, like I said, the proof is in the power bill. And if you can make a few extra $100,000 a year by offering a secondary product to what you're currently doing, or even doing it full time, it's a whole different equation for those type of people.
Awesome. Awesome. That is awesome, Michael. Well, this has been a great discussion. I appreciate it. I knew it would be. I appreciate being on as an OG podcast for,
Right?
this is your second one with me. So what's bigger than that? Nothing. Okay.
Hey, let's
Just
let's let's not
so
wait so long. Do it again sometime.
yeah, that's right. That's right. No, we'll be back for sure. But again, thank you for your time today. And for everybody else, we'll see you on the next STS podcast. Thanks for joining me on the Sharpen the Spear podcast. If you're a manufacturing executive and you're serious about unlocking hidden profit, improving frontline leadership, and taking control of your floor, go to grit2lead.com right now. Run the free Sharpened Impact Simulator and discover your biggest opportunities are hiding. Don't leave millions on the table. Sharpen your spear, lead from the front, and win the floor. Until next time, stay sharp.